At the start of the movie, we see two kids who are alone in the world. A man buys these kids and turns them into his slaves, which made his life even harder. His life was going on, but people were very cruel to him. He had to do all kinds of work for that man. The lives of those two kids were hard, but they looked out for each other, and all of their thoughts and goals were the same. They wanted to be good generals when they grew up. They used to cut and gather wood. After that, they used the same piece of wood to train fighting. They had trained together for a long time, so that they could become good soldiers. They practiced fighting, and they got very good at using knives made from their own wood. One day, a general showed up while they were training, who was watching these two fight. Then he goes to talk to the person who bought them. He says that good soldiers are needed all over the country because our kingdom is looking for them. I want to bring with me one of the two boys I just saw fighting with me, so that he can go with him and learn well, to become one of our best soldiers. But only one person got this. The person in this picture, whose name was Lee, is very happy, and he tells his friend, "This is your chance to show how good you are at fighting. Go ahead, I'm happy with them. Come on, one of us will get what they want." Then they fight for the last time that night, because they were going to be split up in the morning. Lee says to his friend, "I'm going to train, and I'll try to learn how to fight well so I can get to you, which will also make my dream come true." After his friend left, Lee worked very hard. Now, he trains in the woods, and gets better at fighting over time. That his wooden sword was so strong that it could even break a stone. Lee was taking a break in his hut one day. His friend then comes to him, who was in very bad health condition. He was going to die soon. King's brother tried to kill him, his friend says. When King's brothers came to kill him, he was still alive. Then they attacked me because they thought I was king. While he is dying, Lee's friend gives him a plan. He tells you that this map will help you get to the town, where you'll get a lot of people, which will help you learn to fight. After he says this, his friend dies. As soon as Lee hears his friend, he starts running toward the village, where a few thieves stop him on his way. Lee's years of training help him in that situation. He kills each person there one by one, and gets back on his way. The car finally gets to the village, where the address was given by his friend. He finds a hut there, where he sees the king, who was just like Lee's friend in every way. He doesn't expect to see King. Now, King tells him this: "My general bought your friend." Because King and his friend had the same looks, and my general was trying to trick them, who were making plans to kill me. So that's why my general bought your friend, in order to trick people there. On the other hand, it's the same people, using King's brother to help. They find the person who was searching for Lee's friend, who bought Lee and his friend as slaves when they were young. They also knew that the person they killed was innocent, was not King but his look-alike. Lee was upset about this, that King killed his friend so he could live. Then, while they were talking, he is killed. Lee's friend was killed by someone who thought he was King, and tries to kill King again. He was making Lee, the killer, angry, that this King is the reason why your friend died. Kill him, you've been tricked by King. But Lee doesn't listen to what he says, and tries to stop the killer. He was sure, so, that this killer did not kill his friend. A lot of times, Lee and the killer fight, and after many battles, Lee finally kills the murderer. He goes to King next. Lee was still mad at him, though. He thought so because that the real reason why King is his friend. Because of this King, one of his friends died. But King says you are friends with him, who gave himself up. The whole kingdom belonged to everyone in it. King says that I had to do it in order to live. I wanted my kingdom because how strong my kingdom is. Don't leave me, please don't go see my brother, who is a bad and mean person. If that happened, the whole country would have been lost. King says to Lee, "Will you help me put together a strong army? In order for me to kill my brother, and get even for the death of your friend." On the other hand, we see one of King's brothers, who got very mad. He was very scared because of this. He tells them what to do, for him to send more soldiers to kill his brother. When King and Lee were in the jungle, then a man hits him with needles that are full of poison. But Lee also fights with that person. He fights with him a lot, and kills that person. He falls to the ground after being killed. Lee was not awake, because he was also hit by a needle that was full of poison, but that was his good luck. King saves him, and helps him until he feels better. He will be attacked by many forces one day, who are afraid of seeing either. But they find out in the end that he was a soldier for a general. Li's friend was bought by, he was King's favorite person, and he still makes the same promise that he didn't turn King against him. Then he makes a promise to King that he'll help him get his throne as king, his most valuable stone. He will get it back for him. King's brother, on the other hand, who hadn't been able to kill King yet, but he says it in front of his whole army anyway, that he is now king of the whole country, so he also wanted to kill King. King was, on the other hand, very sad. Because his brother had a much bigger army than he did, he couldn't be as good as them this way. The general of King now tells him about the mountain tribe, who has many armies. He tells that we can help them. The general and King both agree. They all go through dangerous places to get to the mountain group, where they aren't as welcome as they thought. They're caught by the mountain tribe's army, and brings them to their boss. When King goes to talk to his boss, he tells him everything after that, what his brother did to try to kill him, and he also wanted to trick the kingdom, but King's boss won't help him, because back then, the mountain group had been wronged a lot by King's army. But King says sorry for things he did wrong in the past. When the boss sees all of this, he agrees to help. When he takes off the mask, then we'll know this girl was in charge. She makes a promise to King. They will get help from her. Then they make plans that Li will be sent as king, including King, puts on a mask and joins the army of the mountain group. Then when they get to the house of the king's brother, he is told by the head of the mountain tribe that he wants to join their royal army with his army, which army was led by the king's brother. The leader of the king's brother is very happy. Then, he invites everyone to his kingdom. So, everyone goes to the house of the king's brother. Then he attacks the army there all of a sudden. There, they ask King, Li, and the general to leave in secret, and himself goes after the army of the king. Listen to the army of the king's brother, and the soldiers of the mountain tribe. There is a big battle. The army of the mountain tribe was very big, and good in battle as well. This makes it possible for the king to kill a lot of men there. When Li was going through the cave, on the other hand, then, on the way, he has to fight a very big monster, but Li uses his sword to kill that monster. Then, he and his men go into the royal palace, where the king's brother was sitting on his throne happily. Then he calls his partner over here, who had a lot of power, and challenges Li to a race. But Li also doesn't worry about what he says. Both of them are very good with their swords, because they were both very good at fighting. They kept getting into fights with each other, because both could fight just as well. And in the end, Li kills the partner of the king's brother, the brother of the king who watches his partner die, who had a lot of courage. He was also scared after he died. He tried to escape from the house, but at the gate, the army of the mountain tribe is all around him. Now, the king doesn't have to wait long to beat his brother. In the first attack, the king beats his brother. The general then shows up, who was the strong leader of the kingdom next door. He goes to the king and asks, why was this war happening? The king says he wanted to get his brother off the throne, so he couldn't use it in the wrong way. The king tells the general to bring together all of Japan's kingdoms, so that everyone gets what's fair. When the general heard these words, he was ready to help the king. After killing the army, everyone there is happy because they won. The army of the mountain tribe is also ready to back the king for life. The leader of the mountain group gives Li his sword at the end of the movie. Li starts his journey to become a general with courage and a sword. He was right next to him. This is the end of the movie.